Are you a petrolhead? Are you sold on the idea of a sporty petrol hatchback? If so, you've come to the right place, because with us today are three premium hatchbacks that have boost as the secret of their energy. Here's a quick introduction to the contenders. Volkswagen's Polo, that's had the option of a turbo-petrol engine since 2013, is here with its new 1.0 TSI unit, while Hyundai has its entry in the 1.0 TGDI-powered i20 Turbo. The latest addition to the turbo-petrol hatchback pack and the car in the spotlight is the new Tata Altroz Turbo. Has the new engine granted the Altroz the go to match the show? Is the i20 Turbo the sporty hatchback it's being made out to be? Can the Polo still take the fight to its newer rivals? Much will unravel over the course of the day. But before we go any further, let us know which of these three hatchbacks you'd like and why. And while you're at it, do subscribe to the Autocar India channel and click on that bell icon for the latest from us. All three cars come powered by turbocharged 3-cylinder engines, but it's the VW and Hyundai's units that are closest in spec. Their engines are near identical in size, displacing just under 1000cc. Both feature direct injection and also make about the same max torque. It's the i20 that tops the power charts, however, with 120 HP on call. The Polo and Altroz's engine make 110 HP apiece. The Altroz's engine is the largest of this trio, but it does without direct injection, and its 140 Nm max torque figure is also considerably lower than the other two cars. There's quite a spread in gearboxes too. The Altroz Turbo is only available with a 5-speed manual. The Polo can be had with an automatic transmission or a 6-speed manual as featured here, while the i20 Turbo is the only one without a traditional manual option. There's the option of a dual clutch transmission and a unique 6-speed IMT or intelligent manual transmission, which is the gearbox of choice for our comparison. Into the Altroz, and the first impression is positive. The standard Altroz's 1.2-litre petrol engine always came across as a bit humdrum. This new turbo petrol version is a big upgrade in that sense. This engine has so much more to give. In fact, this is the unit the Altroz should have been launched with. This is the petrol engine it always deserved. It's an Altroz with a sportier bent for sure. Unlike the standard Altroz that gets you city and eco drive modes, the Altroz Turbo gets you city and sport drive modes. So here goes.
Sport drive mode activated.
But is the iTurbo the sporty Altroz we've always wanted? The Altroz iTurbo's build of power is pleasant, but it's not what you'd call exciting. The Altroz iTurbo is considerably down on peak torque compared to the other cars, and you can feel that when you're out on the go. The engine does give you a second wind at about 4800 RPM or so, but even so, this is not an engine that revs very quickly or likes to rev very hard. The limiter cuts in at all of 5500 RPM. The whine from the relatively noisy engine at higher revs is also your signal to tone things down. The performance numbers aren't anything to write home about either. Worth bringing in here is that the absence of a sixth gear isn't as much of an issue as you'd think it to be. The Altroz cruises smartly and gear changes are nice enough. Still, you're left with a feeling of how much better the Altroz could have been with a spicier powertrain, because in all other areas the Tata impresses big time. One of the highlights on the Altroz is its handling, and one of the highlights of the handling package is the steering. It's really well calibrated, nice and light at low speeds, yet weighs up sufficiently when you're going faster. The Altroz also turns in keenly and feels confident through the bends. Out cruising, the Altroz feels poised, but there's plenty of road noise in the cabin, so it's not the most relaxing long-distance machine. At low speeds, the Altroz feels the firmest, but on really bad patches, there's an endearing ruggedness to the Tata that shines through. Switching focus to the i20, and the very first thing to talk of is its IMT gearbox that can be thought of as a hybrid of a manual and an auto. Here, gear shifts are executed via a traditional gear lever, but there's no clutch pedal to modulate. Actuators do the job for you. But what's it like in the real world? Surprisingly, the two-pedal concept for what is a manual gearbox doesn't seem that odd or unusual. You get used to it quite quickly. Sure, the automated clutch modulation can feel a bit snappy in first gear, but on the whole the system is really well executed and makes a world of a difference in congested city drives. What's more, the electronics don't fumble even on quick shifts. The system, as it says on the box, is quite intelligent and understands exactly what you want from the gearbox and when you want it. So even if you choose to downshift aggressively, the system will play ball. Gear shifts themselves are really nice and slick on this 6-speed Hyundai unit. Purists will miss the action of repressing the clutch in getting that perfect shift, but all others will find a happy compromise in an IMT. The likeable engine gets a thumbs up too. Hyundai's 1-litre 120 HP engine actually feels quite flexible with this IMT gearbox. It builds speed with grace at low RPMs, then things pick up at about 2000 RPM or so. Now, you don't get a push back into your seat in the mid-range, but progress remains pretty impressive. And you can rev this engine to well past 6000 RPM. The engine's flexibility reflects in the in-gear acceleration timings. The i20 IMT is a good few seconds quicker than its rivals in the 20 to 80 kph in third and 40 to 100 kph in fourth gear slogs. The i20 also has an ace up its sleeves with the plushest ride in town. High-speed manners, both on the straights and through the corners, are a marked improvement over older Hyundais, if still not at class best levels. The latest i20 is far removed from the nervous handling i20s of the past. It isn't an outright sporty car still, but there is a nice smoothness to the way it changes direction. But if you push really hard into a corner, you'll find that the i20 tends to run wide, and you'll also hear a protest from the tires. It's the Volkswagen Polo that shines in the areas that matter most to enthusiastic drivers. The engine, for one, is a joy. The Polo's 1-litre TSI engine can feel a bit hesitant at very low RPMs, but it's quick to shake itself out of that rut, and by 1800 RPM or so, it's ready to give its best. And then on, you have this strong and sustained pull till 6000 RPM and beyond. This wide power band is deeply satisfying, and it's also super fun charging through the VW's 6-speed gearbox. Though in town, the long travel clutch takes some getting used to. The Polo is the fastest to the ton and the only one with a sub 10 second 0 to 100 kph time. You experience the very best of what turbo engines are known for in that strong mid-range pull. This is a car you'd want to take the long route home in. That the Polo's high on entertainment value is not merely down to that exciting engine alone. The dynamics package is also a key element in the mix. The way the VW Polo turns will put a smile on your face. It feels poised, it feels confident, and it drives like a sporty hatchback should. There's lots and lots of grip from the chassis, the tires hold on well, and you can really push this small car hard. The Polo is the oldest car here, it's over 10 years old, but with this new engine and well-sorted fundamentals, it is still the most fun car. There's also a maturity to the Polo's ride. It tackles potholes at low speeds well, if with a bit of European car firmness. Time to put on our practical hats. At a time when petrol prices are touching new highs, it's important to bring in fuel economy numbers. As per ARAI tests, it's the i20 that promises to be the most fuel-efficient car of this trio, followed by the Polo and Altroz. Note the Tata is the only car with fuel-saving start-stop tech. You should take the numbers with a pinch of salt because driving style has a huge bearing on real-world economy. You've seen these models before, so I'll keep the description on design and styling short. The Altroz with its tipped forward stance looks sporty and rather fetching in this new shade of Harbour Blue. Hyundai's latest i20 is all about sharp cuts and creases, though the rad styling is not to everyone's taste. The VW Polo in contrast has the traditional shape and has aged well, but then again many won't be able to see it as anything but a car from 2009. And what are they like inside? We'll start with the Altroz. The Tata Altroz's cabin is a pretty nice place to be, and it gets a fairly substantial update on this new XZ Plus trim with leatherette upholstery. Now the seats are well padded and add to the look of the cabin. In general, the cabin is tastefully done with a nice mix of different colors and textures that all come together really well. What I would have liked to have seen with this update would have been a larger touchscreen infotainment system, and the squared out dials are something that I'm still not quite a fan of. Of the other things, panel fit could be better at places, and the thick A-pillar also hampers visibility around bends. Rear seat occupants are well taken care of in the Altroz. Doors that open 90 degrees are unique to the Tata Altroz, and they do make getting in and out of the car quite easy. Once you're at the back, you'll be quite content with the experience. You get a fold-down center armrest, adjustable rear headrest, and on this XZ Plus trim, you also get leatherette upholstery and the seats are well padded. You'll also be satisfied with the space on offer. There's a good amount of knee room, and what makes life easy for the middle passenger is that the floor is quite flat. Now, taller passengers like me will find headroom a bit limited. The backrest is a touch upright, and if there's something else to bring up, it's that the window isn't as large as it should have been. Switching focus to the i20's cabin. There's much to like about the i20's cabin. Of the things I really like is the low dashboard cowl. It really gives a good view out of the road ahead. I also like the steering wheel that's adjustable for rake and reach. The digital instrument cluster is nice and clear to read, though I'm personally not a fan of the counterclockwise tachometer. The large touchscreen is easily the best in class. Still, there are a few elements that drag things down. The all-black cabin theme makes the interior feel a bit drab, and cabin quality is not the best that we've seen from Hyundai. The rear seat has its hits and misses too. The i20 is easily the roomiest of the three cars for those seated at the back. I'm just under 6 feet tall and I have ample room, both in terms of knee room and headroom. But it's not perfect. This i20 IMT Turbo is only available in second from top Asta trim, and that means you don't get a rear center armrest or adjustable headrest, which is very disappointing given this car's price. Here's what the Polo's like inside. If there's one thing that the Polo stands out for even after all these years, it's got to be build quality. Even on the inside, you'll note that there's a hard-wearing look to everything, and of the things I like are the large front seats. The steering wheel is also nice to hold, and it also handily gets rake and reach adjust. There are modern amenities like a touchscreen infotainment system, but there's no denying that this is a car that's well past its prime. The look of things will tell you as much every time you get in. The tight rear seat space also limits the Polo's appeal as a family car. As you can clearly see, the Polo trails the other two when talking of rear seat space. Now, it's least on legroom, it's least on shoulder room, and fitting in a fifth passenger will be a tight squeeze, and in general, it just feels like a smaller car. In terms of luggage space, the Altroz's 345-litre luggage compartment is the most accommodating for suitcases, though you will be able to fit in enough into the i20 and Polo too. The rear seats can be folded to free more space, but none of the cars offer the flexibility of a rear seat split. Here's how the trio stack up on goodies. As the table makes clear, it's a mixed bag when talking features on the fully loaded versions of the three cars. The 9.89 lakh rupee i20 IMT Asta is the most expensive car here, but it's also the only one with LED headlights, a tire pressure monitor and a wireless phone charger, and also vows for its super slick and class best touchscreen and Bose sound system. The new Altroz iTurbo XZ Plus that comes in at 8.85 lakh rupees runs the i20 close with its leatherette upholstery, updated Harman sound system and new IRA connected car features, and also goes one up with features like front and rear armrests. The 8.34 lakh rupee Polo Highline Plus has the lowest price tag but also misses many frills offered on the other two. It is the only car here to get an auto-dimming rear-view mirror though. Dual airbags and ABS are part of the safety suite on each of these cars, though only the Altroz gets ISOFIX child seat mounts as standard fit. The Altroz also has the distinction of being rated a full 5 stars on crash safety by Global NCAP. The Polo is a 4-star car, while the i20 is yet to be crash tested by the road safety watchdog. If a fun-to-drive hatchback is all that you want, the Polo is easily the pick of the trio. It's got the most exciting engine, it's the most engaging in corners, and it's the car that'll leave you with the widest grin after a day of driving. But opting for a Polo also means compromising on other fronts. It's the smallest car and misses some features too. And few will be able to gloss over the fact that this is a 12-year-old model. The Altroz iTurbo on the other hand looks smashing, is good value, and that 5-star NCAP rating is a pull in its own right. The new turbo-petrol engine also makes the iTurbo version the Tata Altroz to buy. The thing is, for all its added power, the iTurbo still lacks the spice that makes turbo-petrols desirable. And that's a bit of a shame because Tata is no stranger to making fun cars. Case in point, the Tiago JTP. The Hyundai i20 Turbo is no hot hatch either, but it's got a livelier engine and pleasant enough dynamics. There's also that IMT gearbox that adds in a dimension of user-friendliness. The roomy cabin is another big plus. It's not perfect and the i20 is the priciest too, but zoom out and you'll find your money does get you the car that delivers across most parameters. And it's this proposition of offering something for everyone that helps the i20 Turbo IMT occupy the top step of the podium.